Welcome. This is Gretchen of Lighten Up and Thrive, Joyful Living for Mind, Body, and Soul. And this is your third audio in the 6-part audio program of How to Thrive in the Midst of Change. Today's audio is titled Position for a Transition During Change. Last time we talked about how different personality types deal with change. The truth of the matter is that no matter what your type, you will still be impacted by large and small changes in your life and still must successfully navigate through them. Today, we're going to focus on the transitional phase of change. Remember that is the period of time between the first stage, letting go, and the final stage, moving forward into the known or the unknown. This period of time is when you have the opportunity to grow, to learn something new, to refuel, re-energize, or even recharge. You might want to take notes so that you can refer to them after the audio, because we're going to give you 5 tips on how to navigate through the transitional stage of change. The first tip. The first thing you might want to look at is to look for the message or the meaning around the change. What brought on the change? What do you need to learn from the change? Now, this often causes people to kind of push back a little. You might even have a voice in your head saying, I didn't do anything to deserve this change, or this change was not my choice, or if it was up to me, I wouldn't make this change. Well, you're right. Some changes come without warning, but for many changes in our lives, we had glimpses of what was coming ahead of time. If a relationship has changed significantly, could you have paid more attention to the other person? Could you have listened more, supported more? There are changes that we cause or have control over, and changes that we don't. You can be more proactive by looking at lessons from past changes and being more prepared for future changes. You cannot predict the future, but in many cases, you can predict that things will be changing. Be prepared for new changes by having greater insight into lessons learned from previous changes. Second tip, never burn a bridge. It's easy to be angry at the people who we feel maybe caused the change. For example, if a job is lost, it's easy to blame your former employer. But use caution because you might find yourself in a position one day to serve those people again. In fact, one person I knew got hired as a consultant by the very people who let her go. Often when relationships end, we ask our friends, loved ones, and children to choose sides or support us by not associating with that other person. But when we do this, we are creating more damage than good. We are staying stuck instead of moving through the transition. The third tip is be more visible in the world. When you have experienced a change, you have a lot of emotions to deal with. It's easy to hide, to become a hermit, or to avoid other people. But when we do that, we stay stuck. Not only is this a good time to wrap yourself in the comfort of people that you know, it's also an opportunity to forge new relationships. The very thing you don't feel like doing is the very thing you need to do. Consider this. Consider getting a new hobby or joining a club or a new meetup group. Volunteer for a charity. Join an exercise group. Get out of the house and be with people who are good for you. You will find yourself energized and feeling more like your normal self. And if you find yourself becoming more and more shut down, then please seek professional help. Talking with someone who can help you refocus is healthy. It's the very healthiest thing for you to do when you feel like you are really that stuck. The fourth thing is take a risk. Now, before you go jumping off a cliff, the kind of risks that I'm talking about are small risks. Try something new. Have a new experience. When you have success trying something new, this helps build your confidence. It helps grow your relationships, and it really helps build your resiliency. And this resiliency factor is one of the best things that you can cultivate and nurture during times of change and transition. The fifth thing is to focus on positive emotions. During the period of transition, it's easy to experience a variety of emotions such as shame, fear, anxiety, anger, a lot of toxic and really low energy states. And although these emotions are normal and should be experienced, it's important that you counterbalance these negative emotions with more positive ones. So, surround yourself with quotes and stories that are uplifting. Celebrate small accomplishments of others, that attitude of gratitude that you really can cultivate. And most of all, allow yourself to have some fun. So, try one or two of these 5 tips. The first one is look for the message or learning. The second is really never burn a bridge. The third is put yourself out there. The fourth, take a risk. And the fifth, focus on positive emotions. They will help you move through the transitional period of change, and they also will help you develop more resiliency so that when the next change happens, and it will, you will be prepared. That's all for today, and the next time we'll be talking about resiliency, which is your ability to bounce back. In the meantime, I'd like you to remember the words from this quote. Change always comes bearing gifts. I hope you've enjoyed the third audio in this series of Thriving in the Midst of Change. So far, we've covered the first audio, Change, what's it really all about? The second audio, what's your style when it comes to change? This third one, Position for a transition during change. And the next audios will cover in audio 4, Bouncing back from change. In the fifth one, Becoming the best you. And the sixth audio, Helping others navigate the course of change. Jerry and I invite you to join us next week for that fourth audio, Bouncing Back from Change. Until then, keep on thriving.